Hello everybody out there, and welcome back to another Dark Avenger Comic Book review. Guys, this is a really late review, and this is the weeks that are getting closer to Christmas. As a matter of fact, as we're recording this, Christmas is exactly 7 days away.
Yep.
Yeah, we've been doing a lot of shopping, and we're exhausted, but unfortunately, due to the shopping, we haven't been able to read the books, which came late.
For you.
For me. And one book wasn't in the haul, but thank God it came today, and I got to read it digitally, so I already know what's on it. But hopefully, once the holiday seasons are done and over with, things will go back to normal. Yeah. Now, this week coming up, the books that came out this past Wednesday is going to be a pretty hefty week. Next week is going to be a hefty week because there's a lot of annuals and stuff that comes out. And I hope the week after that, the last week of the month, because there's 5 Wednesdays this month, I really hope that week, at least we get a little bit of a break. Because there's a lot of books, both from the indie review and from the big 2 review. So I'm just hoping that we definitely have a little bit of a break after this. And I know starting the new year off, there's going to be a lot of new Marvel books. Some we will be trying, some we won't. Because I'm not paying $3.99 for a weekly series, that's for sure.
Or $4.99, give or take.
Or $5 for some weird annual crazy stuff.
I'm not even bothering with annuals anymore. They're just ridiculous. Not the story, just the whole price thing.
Mm-hmm. And this review, the books in this review were released on?
December 10th, 2014, but there's one book that wasn't.
One book that came out last month. Last month.
Oh, last month?
Because number 3 is going to be in the next episode already. But yeah, it's going to be a hefty month, so let's just hope for the best, and we will try to get you guys the reviews as soon as possible. Remember, we're doing the events on Brooklyn Boys. We took a week off of even Comic Frontline because it's just super busy with the holidays. So as soon as the holidays pass, things should get back to a norm.
Yeah.
So you're starting us off this week.
Yeah, with this book that, like you said, came out last month. Trinity of Sin, issue number 2.
Yeah, I don't know how it fell under our radar, but we apparently missed it completely, and then I kept forgetting to buy it, and finally I stuck it.
Yeah. So basically, it's darkness spreading around with Namra, which is this new villain right here. And it's up to Phantom Stranger and Pandora to stop this demonic thing from destroying them. And he wants to, get rid of their sins and everything, and wants to take over the entire planet. I like how Pandora has a new armor now. By the way, the artwork is really spectacular. And they want to make the Earth just a dark place. And then you get the Question actually with a face.
Of course he has a face.
Yeah, the Question has a face. No, I know he has a face, but I just never saw what he looked like without the mask thing that's on him. And then he gets involved a little bit in battle. I mean, it's going to get to the point where he's going to join them because the Trinity of Sin is the 3 of them. And he just doesn't want to join them. And we get to learn a little bit more about the Question this issue. But if you want to find that out, definitely read the book. So yeah, the Earth is turning dark, and well, they're now into the darkest age. Their world and overriding the old. And not so good for the new. So we'll find out how the 3 of them will overcome this.
Green Lantern Corps, issue number freaking 37. I'm so glad with the recent announcement that all the Lantern books, except for Green Lantern and Sinestro, are being canceled. And I'm 100% sure that it's due to the fact of the low sales that have been going on since Jeff Johnson has left the Lantern team. Mm-hmm. In this book, we find out that Allfather is converting people using the source code, or I forgot what it's called already. Oh God, the source code. I believe the life equation. Using the life equation, he's basically converting. In this book, he converts a couple of Green Lanterns into basically his slaves. He's looking to convert everybody on Earth and in the universe, new universe, into his army so that he can go up against Darkseid and win, because he'll have an army of millions to fight and destroy Darkseid. And in Earth 2 it's the same stuff, so it's kind of getting boring. But anyway, Turns out Indigo One betrayed everybody in order to get her ring back. We get to see some of the lanterns, like I said, converted. Sinestro and Jon Stewart fight back. Jon Stewart fights a lot harder back. There's one of the New Gods actually turns on Allfather because he actually says, "You're no better than Darkseid. You just want to defeat him and you're willing to do whatever is necessary." And the rest of the book is Jon Stewart fighting one of the New Gods. I forgot his name. And he actually steals his hammer and beats the crap out of him. And
yikes.
Basically, with this issue, it looks like the tides are finally turning and the Lanterns actually might have a fighting chance.
Okay.
Again, this series, the only reason why I'm even wasting my time getting the next
Wasting? I heard you say wasting.
Yeah.
Oh, because
wasting my time with this is because basically it's ending in 2 episodes from now. This coming episode, I believe, is New Guardians. Next week is the next episode will be Sinestro and the Green Lantern New Guardians annual, which ends it all completely. And after that, I don't care if Green Lantern Corps and New Guardians is being canceled. I'm dropping them. I'm probably going to drop Red Lanterns then because that's being canceled anyway. So basically DC made my decision for me. And I'm dropping the regular Green Lantern book, period. I will try Sinestro out for for the next story arc. See how it goes.
See how that goes.
If it doesn't go good, then Sinestro goes bye-bye too. And that's the end of my run on the Lantern books.
Just so you know,
really nice cover.
Issue number 7.
I would have killed to get all the annuals. I just could not afford to get all the Darwin Cook variants.
No, because those are way too pricey.
No, the variants are the same price as the covers, but you have to buy the comic books.
I know.
And I don't buy some of them.
So it's Justice League United and the Legion of Superheroes going up against Bit's Flame Demons because Bit has the child. Bit has I can't remember the child's name, but yeah, like there's just like a whole big thing. I like the splash page and I love the artwork. And they're fighting them together, and then they have this whole big thing about, how they're going to get the kid away from Ultra is his name. How they get Ultra away from Bith because the world's in in doom. Bith actually finds a way to get Sinestro into Jean Jones' mind, which was really something else actually. And then it's just just really to find a plan of how to do so. And I want to point out there was a typo error.
Oh, go figure.
That you actually mentioned, like a wrong dialogue. Can't remember if it was here or there. But I just want to show you because it's funny.
I don't remember where it was.
I remember. It was somewhere here. Well, basically, what they want to do, Green Arrow was like saying, we should just put the dart through the child's head. When did Green Arrow ever thought of that? To get rid of Ultra? I mean, that's just ridiculous how that happened. Of Green Arrow to say that. And I didn't like that he was like that as a character. But, with that, there's no other way. So, they're going to have the Legion of Superhero rings on their finger. And then they're just going to go after them and fight the fire demons that Bit throws along. As well as, let's just say that someone says the end is near. And the end sure is near. So, it's really something else with the comic book of, like, how they're, putting all this together. Oh, here it is. Like when Animal Man said Bits has Ultra, we couldn't get him away in time, and he goes, yes, Stargirl. Stargirl's not even talking. Isn't that weird? The way he said about dialogue boxes,
I don't think that was it, but okay.
Yeah, what was that? I mean, I tried to explain the best I could because there was just a lot more involved in there, and I wanted to leave it to you guys because I don't want to spoil the whole book, even though the review's late.
Alright, we're in the weeklies now. World's End issue number 10, Mr. Miracle. basically finds Darkseid and wants answers. And Darkseid is trapped in this sphere thing, and he's kind of in, I forgot what it was, suspended animation, and he couldn't answer. And you would think that, you know, Mr. Miracle would be thinking with a clear head. Also, Huntress comes back, and Desaad basically converted her to become one of the four Furies, or one of the Hounds of the Furies of Apocalypse. Kara stays behind, Power Girl stays behind to fight her. We see that Barbara's dead. Dick makes a decision with his son that I'm sure will have lasting ramifications. John Constantine leaves the book finally, which is a good thing. And like I said, the Mr. Miracle part with Darkseid, artwork's really good though, I will say that.
Yeah, that one's really awesome.
But we find out that Mr. Miracle, of course, not thinking with a clear head, does something that actually frees Darkseid. And now Earth 2 is basically the Scrooge, probably. Go figure. Future's End, however, Future's End 32, once again we go back to Terry and Plastique, which we haven't seen them in forever. And you can see that they're starting to form a relationship, which is interesting. And Bruce kind of tries to convince Mr. Terrific not to release the Terrifitech, whatever they're called, the balls. Where was it? Basically, the release is a product, and basically he makes the announcement, sales go up, and it turns out Brother Eye and him are basically working together. There's a scene with Grifter in here, which is hilarious, with Lana. There's a scene in here with 50 Sue. That's really good. Oh. And then we find out what happened to the professor from the previous issue. It turns out he's not really dead. Professor Kawa, whatever his name is. Yamakaze. Turns out he's alive, and he's the guy on the cover now. So he's going to apparently be a supervillain. Firestorm, they can't figure out how to separate. And then we go back to the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And it turns out, long story short, S.H.I.E.L.D. turns on Adam, Frankenstein, and Hawkman, and everybody else. And that's how the book ends. I hope they get what's coming to them finally. I can't stand that little girl from S.H.I.E.L.D. I hope she gets her ass kicked. We'll find out in the next issue. But the best weekly from this week has to be Batman Eternal issue 36. Jason Bard gets found out by Vicky Vale. Batman survives, and I love how Vicky's on the phone with Jason Bard. And she says, I know everything about you, and I know what your vendetta is, and you know what, never call me again. And you know what, Batman's about to punch you in the face anyway, so goodbye. And Batman punches him right in the face, and Batman basically makes the threat. You know, you think you know what's best, you think you know what you're doing, you better do what's best in the best interest of Gotham, or else we will stop you. You think you've stopped me.
Wait, who is that?
Everybody shows up.
No. Yeah.
That's Jason Bard, Commissioner Jason Bard.
Oh, okay.
He's like, I can't put you away, you're the police commissioner, but I know, basically he knows that Jason Bard was behind the whole thing with Hush, but he can't prove it yet. So he says, you better keep doing what's best for the city, or else we'll have another chat. And he's like, you can't threaten me like that. He says it several times. First he says, you can't just come here and threaten me like that. And then he says it again towards the end, and he's like, yes, we can. And they disappear, and that was awesome. There's a moment between Batman and Hush. Now, this is the moment I didn't like. Batman's trying to put all the pieces together. Who is behind? Who's the master planner? And what really annoys me, and I'm going to spoil it because we're already in the next issue because we're a week late with this review. What really irks me a little bit is we just finished Zero Year. So, you know, I was even saying this in the one of the Tuesday live shows. It shouldn't be Riddler because we just finished. We just finished Zero Year. We just got Riddler. We should be done with Riddler for a time. And guess what? It's the Riddler. In the end of the book, we find out it's quite possible that it's the Riddler pulling all the strings. And I hope it's not the Riddler for the simple fact that we just got Zero Year. And then in Future's End, in September...
And the 5 years later.
5 years later, thank you. We got Batman basically leaving the Riddler to his own death, basically. You know, we don't need the Riddler to be Batman's Brainiac. You know, and that's what it's shaping up to be. And 36 issues in, I hope it's not the Riddler. I really, really hope it's not the Riddler that's doing the whole thing, because that really would piss me off. And now we're in Marvel.
Yeah, I was just about to say that. But Carnage Access issue number 3, the last issue of Access. Oh, wait till I tell you the ending part. But for the time being, in the beginning, Carnage tries to overcome the missiles, which he does, and it has a little bit of a graphic thing in the beginning. And one of them kidnaps the girl, and there was a reference to Amazing Spider-Man.
300?
Yeah, 300. And what was his name? Why can't I remember his name? Like it was mentioned before, but basically Carnage saves her from him and everything. I think the Sin Eater?
I think that is him. Yeah, you're Sin Eater.
Well, yeah, he's like, and he tries to take away Carnage's sins, and when he gives it to him, by the way, here's some artwork. He grows into this ginormous giant, and when he gives him one thing of the guilt, basically, yeah, Sin Eater, yeah, he blows up, and then everything is, you know, and he gets rid of his sin, and he's now a good man. And the girl like saying, you know, help, Carnage is here, and you know, and he's just giving him the hard truth, you know, that he lied of being a good person. And most people are hardly good at all. That's your final lesson. I'm like, wow, lady. He saved you, and really? I mean, I know he's a villain and crazy and all that. And then they fire at him, and then he just says, you know, to be good, to be a hero, I must be alone. And that's how it ends off. So that was a stupid way to end it.
This miniseries was stupid.
Of that lady doing that.
This whole miniseries was stupid.
I can't even believe I read it. Just to give it a try.
Oh, gee, everybody warned you.
Well, you wanted me to try, and I thought it was good. Now I can't wait to see how Hobgoblin's going to end.
George A. Romero's Empire of the Dead Act 2, issue 4 or 5, the Pendulum issue.
Yeah, that's also parental advisory like Carnage.
Yeah, both of these are actually ironically parental advisories. In this issue, no zombies at all. We focus more on the mayor, who there is now somebody else who's campaigning against the mayor. We focus more on Paul, who basically seems like there's more. It seems like there's more to Paul than we've seen in the previous act and up to this point. Turns out, what's her name? Oh, I'm glad that you gave me the front page now, Marvel. You guys are awesome. Dr. Jones, Penny Jones, basically finds out that the mayor is actually married, but he's a vampire. Of course he's married several times already. But she bumped into one of his wives who's basically a bitch. And she leaves, and then she admits to Paul that she actually was falling. She should have fallen for him first. And Paul's like, yeah, you should have, but oh well. But there seems to be more to Paul. He's like, when you were with him, do you remember how many times were you ever alone? And she can't answer him. So at first I'm thinking, okay, maybe Paul is kind of like, he knows that the mayor's a vampire, but he's either a hunter or he's keeping the mayor's secret. Then towards the end of the book, he comes face to face with one of the vampires, and the vampire acts like he's one of them. So is Paul a vampire? Is he a vampire slayer? What is Paul exactly? What? And she even asks him what his life, like, what is he? And all he mentions is a story about his father.
Wow.
So it really leaves you to wonder, who is Paul really, and what is with Paul? What's his background story? And I'm sure by the last issue we're going to find out exactly who Paul is. And this is definitely a twist in the story, and I hope there's going to be an Act 3, because you can't end this series on Part 5 literally and that's it. This deserves another act after what we got here. We need one more act at least to conclude everything. And even with Xander and the little girl, there's a lot still out there. I feel like there definitely is a promise. There definitely has to be an Act 3, or there's definitely a lot of room to write an Act 3. And George Romero does an amazing job with this book. Yeah. Each and every time I read it, I'm really enjoying it. Even though I'm not a fan of vampires.
And I can't believe I'm making this an average read. The Punisher issue number 13, more like the origin of the Howling Commandos. That is all this book's about. The origin of the Howling Commandos, and the Punisher's not featured at all. And basically, I think I made a little bit of a mistake on last issue. Basically, the Howling Commandos has the family that claims to be Frank Castle's family, and they want Castle to go after them because that'll set them in the trap.
Okay, so
to kill them, you know. It was a little bit of a crazy week that week. But yeah, it just talks about the team and Sidewinter Myers, Buzzkill, and the lady, and here's some artwork, which is pretty good.
Yeah, so then this book really is just like a background on who they are.
Just, you know, just them going on this mission and killing people and how they formed even more as the years went on and how they kill without hesitation.
I'm already ready to fall asleep.
Yeah, I was like, in the middle of the book, like, where is the Punisher? Why are they doing... Could they have made a comic book, The Howling Commandos, and put it there? This is just like a whole story of the Howling Commandos. Where's the Punisher? This is the title, The Punisher, not the Howling Commandos origin. Really? I mean, I was kind of a little bit disappointed about this issue. I mean, it was an average read to know about the Howling Commandos, but not necessary for a Punisher issue. Get back to the story.
And speaking of annuals, before we get to your next book, digitally I read 2 annuals this week. This episode, the Amazing Spider-Man annual and the Guardians of the Galaxy annual. If you want to break from SpiderVerse, which we will get into in a little while, this book definitely was for you. It had 3 stories in it, really. 1 big story, a 2-page story, and then a couple of pages of a 3rd story. They were okay. It was an average read. Honestly, after I read it, right after I read it, I was like, $5 this book.
That.
This book is $5.
And that's Spider-Man?
And I wasn't that, but then after rereading it again, the artwork's really good. The stories were definitely something that, at least it's Spider-Man-esque. So yeah, it's a good read, but remember the book's $5. So take that into consideration.
He'll give it back to you and find you.
Yeah, the cell phone's always like, come on, really?
Laryngitis.
That's definitely a procrastination.
And I'm wearing a Spider-Man shirt, ironically.
And then the Guardians of the Galaxy one, the Guardians bump into a S.H.I.E.L.D. helicarrier in space chasing after Skrulls, and the big surprise towards the end of the book is the helicarrier is carrying a cloning machine. So it's basically Nick Fury, Dum Dum Dugan, even Jessica Drew. All of them are clones from way back when, and they've been chasing the Skrulls for years. So it was an interesting story, and the ending was really nice because Carol, in the beginning of the book, is sending a video message to Earth saying how much she misses everybody, and then at the end she concludes the video message, and she's like, you know, I don't even think these guys hug, and then you have Groot who shows up at the end and he actually gives her a hug.
Yeah.
That was a really nice ending, I will say that. Out of the 2 books, though, both books were average reads, and remember, guys, these are $5 books. $5. You gotta, whenever a book passes $3.99, you really have to think about it, and if you don't have a comic book store near you, and you do what we do, and we order our comics online, that's what makes things, and, you know, deciding a whole lot harder.
Alright, well, let's get into this now. Access issue number 7. And what happened in this issue? Well, let's get into it. Basically, in this comic book, we get a whole thing about, you know, first it starts with Havoc and Cyclops, where they go meet up with, what was her name? I forgot what her name was, but basically, Nightcrawler takes them away, and then it goes into this big page. Artwork's fantastic, by the way. Of the bad guys versus good guys and vice versa. The whole Deadpool and Spider-Man with fighting against, why am I forgetting names? Like, they're fighting against this big guy who, Apocalypse. And Deadpool, even though, like, he's not, like, a bad guy, he tries to act like Spider-Man a little bit with some of the jokes. And I thought that scene was very funny. Then we get into the whole, you know, it's still going, and then we get Wanda talking with Magneto, Havoc, and she winds up hurting them, and there's this big page here.
That's an advertisement.
Of the advertisements, but it's not nothing. And then she says, you know, she's a queen of vengeance, and just strikes down everyone. bad guys turning into villains and villains turning into good guys is really something. And then this happens where they have a meeting about other stuff. And if you want to read the book, I'd say you should. And it's just Apocalypse just saying, I am better than basically everyone on this planet. And the end of man is high. Kind of sounds... And kind of sounds like what Justice League United with the whole Hawkman saying the end is near. A little bit of a comparison there.
I'm glad I skipped down Axis, but it seems like
is the next issue the last issue?
I hope so. No, 9 is the last issue. You got 8 coming this week, which is next episode, and then 9 is the episode after. And it's a $5 book. The next, these are all fun. No, the the 9th issue is a $5 book, so I think that's the end.
All right, this one both of us read. SpiderMan the X-Men issue number 1.
Basically, Wolverine's dead, so now they had to throw somebody else into the mix. So it was Spider-Man.
Yeah, and this book, I mean,
artwork was good. I liked the artwork.
I love the artwork. Yeah, I was just about to say that. And he goes to the Jean Grey school to help them out, and then he becomes a teacher, the superpower ethnics lesson with Mr. Spider-Man. And they're all like saying, hey, let's go in the danger room and danger room equals I laughed when I was reading this book, and they're special needs children, by the way, that he's teaching. So it kind of relates to what my field I'm planning to pursue in the future. So, after a while, they go in the danger room.
Even though it said
Even though they said because Storm Door would be a good idea. And then there's a whole thing of finding out about the mole. There's a whole thing about, like, who's the mole and everything.
And then they go on a field trip.
And they go on a field trip where he's just wearing a jacket, pants, and a hat to see about the dinosaurs. And Stedgren comes in and with his sentences and all that other stuff. That gets annoying when I do it. But yeah, he fights off against them. And we find out in the end of the issue who the mole is. And they go to this place, New Savage Land. Now, he's saying this is Staten Island.
I died laughing.
This looks like New York in Manhattan.
But it looks like Staten Island facing New York. So it's like, oh, please, God, I'd rather be in the regular Savage Land, not Staten Island. And I died laughing because I have so many friends.
And they have that new tower and Statue of Liberty in the background, so wow. I was just looking, I'm like saying, Spidey? That's Manhattan. Not Staten Island.
No, you idiot. Never mind.
He
thought he was in Staten Island facing the city. Anyway, before we get into the 2 SpiderVerse books, just give us 2 seconds and the click of a button and we will conclude this week's comic book review. Alright, we're back. And we're starting with SpiderVerse Team-Ups issue number 2. And I know that it connects a lot to Amazing Spider-Man issue number 11, but I want to do this first because it's 2 stories. It's really nice. You got Miles Morales, Ultimate Spider-Man. I don't know why that happened. I got something in my throat when I said Miles Morales. And the Ultimate Spider-Man from the cartoon series. Basically, they are given the task of bringing in more Spider-Men. And ironically, they end up in the Spider-Man TV show era, or universe, where Spider-Man basically looked like this.
Yeah.
And I loved this issue. It was fun. It had the Ultimate Spider-Man talking to the readers, which basically is what they do in the Ultimate Spider-Man cartoon. It's really good. I enjoyed it, and you got to see them fighting against all of Spider-Man's classic foes. And when I say classic foes, I literally mean the classic foes. And they win, and that was cool. It was a really nice first story. And then the second story has Gwen on Earth 21,205. I'm sorry, but there's just too many Marvel universes out there. I thought the multiverse was bad in DC. Anyway, she's trying to bring in another Spider-Man who isn't a Spider-Man anymore. He's actually a Goblin. And this is the Spider-Man where when Gwen died, he lost it, killed the Green Goblin, and then destroyed himself as Spider-Man and became the new Green Goblin. And then to prevent, what's her name? It starts with a V. That's the funny thing. Verna. I was right. To prevent Verna from basically consuming his soul, he tries to blow her up, and it fails, obviously, and he dies. And Gwen swears that she's going to get revenge and kill Verna instead. Both stories are really fun, really great stuff. Do you have to read team-ups and everything else in Spider-Verse? You don't have to, but there is a but, and you're going to see in the next book. This is a fun read. I definitely enjoyed it. I'm loving the team-up books. It's nice little extra stories. Now, here's why there's a but. Amazing Spider-Man issue 11. I think this book is the book we're going to spend the most time on. You got to see what you've wanted to see for a very long time. You got to see Doc Ock Spider-Man versus the original, the one, the only Peter Parker Spider-Man. I want to try to get a good. Here's basically the whole fight. It's a 2-page fight, basically.
Well, I thought it would be longer than that.
And Peter Parker basically wins. We didn't see that coming. And then we get a little bit more of what's his name? The
prophecy. The prophecy.
I think so. I don't know. But anyway, he sends his banished son to other Earths. Basically, it's a short story. But then, basically, Morlun decides, along with his father, that they're not going to wait anymore, and they're going to go to Earth 3, and they're going to attack the Spider-Man finally. But now, here's where the story takes a billion different connecting paths, and there's a billion of different references. There's a reference to Spider-Man 2099, the latest issue. There's a reference to Spider-Woman #1, which there's dialogue about that. Apparently, that's going on at the same time. And that's where Spider-Man and the others actually go to Spider-Woman, because the Spider-Man that's with them, the Spider-Man Noir that got hurt, they literally just hopped into Noir's dimension, and Spider-Man decided he's going to chase after them and give Spider-Woman her mission. This is also, the next page is where he gives the two Ultimate Spider-Men their mission of finding and bringing back more Spider-Man. And also, this is the page where he tells Spider-Gwen, he gives her another mission. So basically, this connects to both team-up stories in this week's Spider-Man team-ups. As a matter of fact, they show the two Spider-Men right here in the cartoon universe. And it actually says right here, to be continued in Spider-Man, SpiderVerse team-ups issue number 2. Then we jump back to Earth 13, and now we're in the original story again. And Solace along with Morlun show up on Earth 13, and the gigantic fight breaks out. There is a reference to Scarlet Spider-Man as well, because when Janix dies in Earth 13, he's recloned, and we are now in the Scarlet Spiders issue number 1 part. Basically, where when Janix comes out of the cloning machine, that's where Scarlet Spiders issue 1 begins. And there's a bunch of references, and we find out that oh god, what is it called? Enigma Force Spider-Man, thinking that he's got the Enigma Force and he's protected against the Inheritors. Yeah, no, that's not true. And there's actually a part in here where Spider-Brit actually reaches out to Spider-Man, and this happened in Spider-Woman, where he says, you got to get back here ASAP. The ending I'm going to leave out because it's really good, but it involves Mayday Parker and her brother.
Mm-hmm.
This was really good, but again, this feels like an over-glorified, at points in the book, promotion to buy the other books. The Spider-Man team-ups, they showed Peter Parker telling the Ultimate Spider-Man, giving them a mission, and that leads into this book. And same thing with Gwen, which leads into this book. And then they go even further and show the Ultimate Spider-Man in the cartoon Spider-Man universe, and then it says to be continued here. And as a matter of fact, the first page here connects to the last page in this book. Not the last page, the last page where we see the two Ultimate Spider-Men. And then the Gwen story, just it's its own entity in and of itself. And there's references to Scarlet Spiders, Spider-Man 2099, Spider-Woman. I mean, every book that's part of Spider-Verse gets a reference in this book. This is the main story. The main stuff that's going on is happening in Amazing Spider-Man. But if you want, and I love how Marvel does this oh so well, if you want the full, complete, like all the dimension Spider-Man story, you're going to have to pick up SpiderVerse team-ups. You're going to have to pick up SpiderVerse issue number 1, Spider-Woman issue 1 through 3, I believe, Scarlet Spider's mini-series. I said SpiderVerse team-ups. What else is going on? There's a checklist here.
Spider-Man 2099.
Spider-Man 2099. Here we go. Amazing Spider-Man, SpiderVerse team-up, SpiderVerse, Spider-Woman, Spider-Man 2099, Scarlet Spiders, and then basically it just keeps going all the way until Amazing Spider-Man 14, Spider-Man 2099 number 8, SpiderVerse team-ups number 3, Spider-Woman number 3, Scarlet Spiders number 3, Spider-Verse number 2. So Spider-Verse number 1, which was a $5 book and had a billion different Spider-Man stories. Apparently there's going to be an issue number 2 of that. And then Spider-Man 2099, like I said, it goes from issue number 6 all the way to 8. And we don't even know if Amazing Spider-Man... Amazing Spider-Man 14 actually is the end. But there's a lot of stuff going on with Spider-Verse, and it's crazy. And there's a lot of books. I'm not joking with you guys. This is a pretty hefty checklist. I mean, in 1 month... Oh, they're not even doing them. They're not even separating it by months anymore, are they? No. But so far, there's still 2 team-up books, 2 more Spider-Women, 2 more Scarlet Spiders, and I believe 2 more Spider-Man 2099s, and then 3 more Amazing Spider-Men. And I won't be surprised if Marvel tries to throw out a $5 price tag either on the issue number 14 of Amazing Spider-Man, or they're going to try to do like a one-shot wrap-up of the entire Spider-Verse the month after and charge $5 for that.
Or the first issue, too.
Spider-Verse I'm enjoying a lot. Don't get me wrong. I'm buying all the books. I just hate when Marvel kind of cheeky says you don't have to buy all the separate books. You can just buy Amazing Spider-Man and you'll be fine. But they're being cheeky about it because, yeah, you can and you'll get the main story. But you're missing out on everything that's going on around the main story. They make it a purpose to do stuff around the main story that you have to buy Spider-Woman, Spider-Man 2099, Spider-Verse Team-Up, Spider-Verse, Scarlet Spiders. It's 5 miniseries attached to it.
Unless they make it a whole big paperback.
That would be very interesting, but still, they're very cheeky about it. Like, no, you don't have to know what's going on all around Peter Parker, but at the same time, it would be nice. And the truth is, I'm glad I'm picking up all these extra books that go along with it.
What is the point of getting all these Spider-Men together again?
To defeat the Inheritors once and for all.
Oh.
And the Inheritors are trying to kill all the Spider-Men. And there are a couple of Spider deaths, other than the Enigma 4 Spider-Man, there are a few other Spider-Men that die.
The reason why I asked is because I've been out of the loop.
You better jump back in the loop.
I am trying to jump back in the loop.
With that, that's it for this review, guys. Sorry for the late review. Hopefully next week or this week's books will be better. We'll at least get them out earlier than Thursday.
Both of ours come
or Friday
over the other.
That's right. This review is going up Friday because we're recording this on Thursday. So hopefully it'll go up earlier next week. We're already going to be jumping into the indie review hopefully in a day or 3. So until next time, guys, don't forget to check out Comic Related, Comic Frontline, Zone 4 Podcast, and Frontline Gaming Zone. Together we are your #1 source for comic-related news, reviews, and a whole bunch more.
Yep.
There is a Zone 4 celebration going on my channel right now, celebrating the 300th episode of Zone 4,
Yep. 300.
which is coming out tomorrow, or today if you're watching this Friday. And there's a special announcement about today for my channel for the celebration of the 300th Zone 4 episode. So look forward to that, I believe either in Brandt's video or on Twitter. Look forward to it in one or both places. And yeah, as always, feel free to leave comments below about any of the books we discussed here, recommendations, likes, dislikes, agree, disagree, and we'll answer your guys' comments in the comments below. And until next time, everybody, take care, keep reading, keep collecting, and we'll see you guys in the next review.
Later, everybody.